Mr. Chuan.
Sir, I declare my interest in speaking on this bill as a practicing lawyer. In July this year, my parliamentary colleague, Mr. Murali Pillai, filed an adjournment motion on the feasibility of setting up a Judicial Service Commission for judicial officers. I spoke in support of the motion, as I am of the view that it is in the interest of our legal system that we have judicial officers who can be equipped to serve in the various specialized courts and to meet the challenges of the future. I am grateful that the Ministry of Law supports this need to carry out structural changes to the legal service. The judiciary is one of the three organs of state. It plays an integral part in upholding the rule of law and ensuring that justice is accessible to all the citizens of Singapore. And for that reason, it is important that the government reviews the structure of the legal service to ensure that both judicial officers and legal service officers are adequately prepared for the future. In the 2020 annual report of the Legal Service Commission, it was reported that there are 806 legal service officers in service as at 31st of December 2020. Of these 806 legal service officers, 224 were in judicial branch and 582 in the legal branch. The judicial branch serves the Supreme Court, the State Court, and the Family Justice Courts. And the legal branch serves the Attorney General's chambers and the legal service departments in various ministries and statutory boards. As an example, the 582 legal service officers serve in government agencies other than AGC, like they serve in ACRA, the Competition Commission of Singapore, EDB, Health Service Authority, IMDA, IPOS, IRAS, Office of Public Guardian, LTA, SLA, NEA, SMC, and MUIS, etc. So it is really a wide scope for these legal service officers. Based on the Singapore Courts Annual Report 2020, the caseload of the state courts was a total of 187,016 cases in 2020. Out of these 187,016 cases, 143,728 are classified as criminal cases, 31,189 is classified as civil cases, and there are 12,099 community and tribunal-related cases. Now, the caseload for the state courts for 2019 was higher at 249,954 cases. That's almost 250,000. And the caseload for 2018 was even higher at 359,064 cases. Then we go on to the family justice courts. The caseload is 25,633 cases for 2020 and 27,953 cases for 2019. If you add the total caseloads of the state courts, the family justice courts, and the work in the Supreme Court, many of us will agree that the 224 judicial officers, even with support staff, will be grossly overstretched. The Singapore Courts Annual Report also gave examples of significant cases handled by the courts. There was a case about terrorism financing, a case about defamatory comments made on social media against the F&B company. There are cases about protection to be given to litigants under the Prevention of Harassment Act, and even a case about euthanasia of a dog. In a 2020 case involving cryptocurrency, the court had to make a decision involving cryptocurrency trades and the implication of smart contracts and artificial intelligence. In the not too far future, judges may be called upon to decide who is at fault if there are accidents involving driverless cars. Another example of the evolving law is in the area of family law. In the past, lawyers acting for parties who have filed for divorce will work towards getting the best resolution for their clients. And that is the nature of an adversarial system. Today, lawyers and judges alike will have to adjust to this concept of therapeutic justice in family disputes. Now, based on the volume of cases handled by the state courts, family justice courts, and the increasing complexity of cases, I would submit that it's timely for us to review the need for our judicial officers to have greater specialization so as to gain greater depth of knowledge about the latest developments in the law. There has always been a high regard for our judicial system. The Singapore judiciary and our legal system has always been recognized as among the best in the world. And within Singapore, a recent survey by the Institute of Policy Studies shows that 82% of the respondents had either a great deal or quite a lot of trust in our courts. Minister Indrani Raja had said in her 2014 speech on the Subordinate Courts Amendment Bill, the public reposes a great deal of trust and confidence in the subordinate courts, and indeed our judiciary generally. We trust them to apply the law impartially, uphold our laws, and dispense justice fairly. Our Chief Justice said recently, society's regard for and trust in the courts is extremely precious. For that reason, sir, I submit that we need to invest heavily in our legal officers serving both in the judiciary as well as in the legal service so that we can continue to earn and maintain the trust of the people in our legal system. Having a separate Judicial Service Commission and a Legal Service Commission is just a step towards recognizing the challenges facing our legal service officers and allow them to explore greater specialization and more equipping for the future. Having a personnel board for each commission also ensures that we continue to attract and retain talent to serve in a legal and judicial service. Our judicial officers need more specialized knowledge to better grasp the complex laws and facts. They also need equipping to understand the different emotions of the litigant. And that is not an easy task for judicial officers. I quote Lord Judge, the former Lord Chief Justice in the UK, in a speech which he made in October 2008. He said, many qualities are required of a judge. He or she must, of course, know the law and know how to apply it. But the judge must always be wise to the ways of the world. The judge must have the ability to make a decision. Decisions can be profoundly unpleasant. For example, to say to a mother that her children will be taken away from her, or to say to an individual that he's going to prison for the rest of his life. Judges must have moral courage. It is an important judicial attribute to make decisions that will be unpopular with the politicians or the media and the public. And indeed, perhaps most importantly of all, to defend the right to equal treatment before the law of those who are unpopular at any given time, unquote. So even a person who may be very unpopular or condemned by social media or members of the public, it is the job of a judge to ensure that this person is given the right to equal treatment before the law, even if they are unpopular at any point of time. These are wise words because judicial officers would need to deal firmly with recalcitrant offenders and yet show compassion to an accused person who may have made a mistake due to poor judgment or reacted badly due to a breakdown in emotions. Judicial officers in the family justice courts would have to deal with litigants sensitively, especially where there are young children involved. So the proposed amendments to the Constitution did not specifically state whether legal service officers can still be transferred between the judicial divisions or the legal service division. However, I'm glad to hear Minister's confirmation that cross-service secondments will continue to be available on application, where useful, to provide selected officers with cross-service experience. So I think it's important that legal officers can still be allowed to ask for cross-service postings so as to deepen their knowledge of the work that they do. For example, if a judicial officer in a family court wishes to seek a posting to the Ministry of Social and Family to better understand how family disputes can be resolved, surely that kind of cross-postings should be encouraged. That judicial officer will then be armed with practical life skills that would make him or her a better judge in the family justice courts. Similarly, a legal officer who had served as a prosecutor or someone or a lawyer who had previously worked as a litigation lawyer is better placed to understand the adversarial nature of disputes. I will also submit that all our judicial officers must have some wide exposure to community work and more depth of experience in life before being appointed as judicial officers. Even as we position our legal service and judicial service officers as what former Chief Justice, the late Mr. Yong Pang Hao, described as the premier service in the public sector, I hope that we also remind our judicial officers on the need to remain humble as they serve the wider society in Singapore. So I urge the Judicial Service Commission to encourage their judicial officers to widen their life skills in different areas, including being humble, being patient with others, handling nervous litigants or witnesses, and showing empathy and compassion wherever needed. Sir, I support the bill.